A big shout out to the 2024 cohort that includes myself. You know, it's just so great to be in front of all of you, you know, executively producing this year's tour as we keep the conversation going, uplifting Black voices and uplifting true change in our communities. This conversation is about how art dares to imagine something beyond what we know. What futures do we hope that their work expires, and especially how does it influence the next generation? So I'm not gonna do long bio intros for folks. I'm gonna let them do their bio as they answer the question. And so my first question is gonna be for my brother to my left. And it's pretty specific. So he has a artwork, a whole situation called Moon and Melanin, and also shouting out his last artwork for Throughline Art. My partner to the left likes to uplift things that aren't seen and things that are commonly overlooked. So my question to my brother to the left is, can you break down how you make space for Black stories, and how does that identify and shape your work?
Thank you, Kelsey. Great to see you. Glad you're here. Peace and love, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hey.
Good, good. We're gonna get the energy up in here. I know y'all been to a lot of panels, but when I talk to folk, I try not to seem as some type of resident expert. I'm just a brother living this experience just like y'all. My name is Adedayo Kosoko. I'm a Nigerian first generation born creative out of Prince George's County, Maryland. Peace. Shout out to PG. We all together, man. Y'all know what it is. Been full time in my creative space for about 10 years now, and you know it's amazing to be in a space when you have the ability to create and show your Blackness, to make the unseen seen. You mentioned my Moon Melanin project. The way I show up is always by putting us to the forefront. I think, you know, with the corporate work we do, with the work we do with clients, we always have an opportunity to tell our stories. And the inspiration behind Moon Melanin was literally a lack of our stories being told. For me, it was people really reflecting and seeing what their journey and their story is with their own skin. Have you always loved your skin tone? Have you always loved your melanin? What's your history? Where do your people come from? What are you proud of? What's your relationship? And that's what's inspired me in that regard. Before that, I didn't have a personal project. A lot of creatives in here, you know, we find ourselves creating for other people. You know, choose me, I can make this thing Black. Do this for me, I can make this thing amazing. But when you have your own project, you're able to make it what you seem fit and what you seem valuable. I really appreciate the fact that you let us give our own bios, because I think we can all rant and rave up here about our accomplishments, but it's more so about what do we leave behind? What can I do for you? And when you move in that space, you can never lose. So I'm a servant, and let's keep the conversation going. Hope that answered the question.
And to my sister in the middle, we know that you are doing wonderful work in the community with a big event coming up in a couple of, like next week actually. But before we get into your event from next week, a lot of your work is rooted in ancestry and community, uplifting things that have already been done. So my question to you is, how do you use the past to shape the future and the current moment of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. So, hey everyone, hi.
Hello.
My name's Alexa Patrick. I'm a poet. I'm a performer. I'm a lot of things. I embrace the hyphen, but yeah, I think that in order to be a good poet, and I think a good artist, I think it's important for you to embrace your own archive. To embrace your history, to embrace the things that have allowed you to be here and to exist here and to practice your art here. You know, if they're the things that allow me to be a poet are, of course, like I have my contemporaries who inspire me every day, like Safia Hillo or Morgan Parker. But of course, I need to think about the people who inspired them. You know, how do we look at the Toy Derricotts and the Toni Morrisons, and who are the people who inspired them? Like really going back and looking at the legacies that have allowed us to exist here. And so understanding that and understanding that context is the thing that allows allows and informs the work that I do today, whether that be through my book. I have a book, Remedies for Disappearing.
Yes.
That informs my artistic practice and the choices that I make with form and language. And then it also inspires the work that I do out in the community. How can we create art that honors the legacies of the people who have existed before us?
I love to hear that. And my brother on the end, for your nice intro and bio question. We know that you like to really root your work into this invisible American caste system. And so my question for you is, have you encountered barriers in the system that have drove you to pushing this idea of this invisible caste system, and what do those barriers look like?
My name is Philippe Jean-Pierre. I'm an artist, educator, adjunct at Howard University for the previous years. I've been at American. I did 16 years at DCPS teaching art. The caste system is just one of many things that I explore. I set out to read like 60 or 80 books written by women, most of which were Black women. And one that stuck out the most was Isabella Wilkerson's The Warmth of Other Suns. And they told the story of migrations from the South to New York to Louisiana to California. And her next book came out. So that dealt with kind of like racism, but her next book was called Caste. And she talks about the invisible caste system. And one of the things that's interesting that I learned from that was that caste plays a role all over the world, whether it's Palestine, South Africa, Haiti, US. It's all over the world. So I just think it's important for artists to make those invisible barriers visible. And sometimes we try not to cross those lines, but I think I have the ability to actually show you what those lines are in the work that I'm making and make you question things. You'll see a lot of bright colors in my artwork, pinks and purples and things that you would think are feminine, but they still come and present as masculine. And it makes you question, hey, where are these lines? Where are these barriers? As far as caste system, one thing that I learned early was like, people that spend money on art are in a different caste than myself. Real talk. And I just have to learn how to navigate that. And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more as the night goes on.
Actually, we will talk about it right now. That brings me to my next question. As we all know, it's Black History Month, so shout out to all our Black leaders. That is why I wore a specific sweater that represents a lot of the Black representation for our community. But my question for all three of you, I'm gonna give each of you 2 minutes to answer this question. We always talk about, I'm a frontline activist. I'm one of the people that's in front of the White House. I'm at the Capitol. I'll be by myself. People do not be there, so I don't care what you read, they don't be there. I'll be in the room alone.
Damn.
So when we talk about Black history, we always reflect back to what we've seen in the past. And we always think about the Civil Rights Movement. And we're like, oh, if we were alive during the Civil Rights Movement, I would have done this. Oh, I would have done this. I would have done this, right? But the work we're doing now is a reflection of what we would have done during that time, right? And so my question to all of you specifically is, if you were alive during the Civil Rights Movement, what do you feel like your art, or what community do you feel like your art would uplift, and how would it uplift them? I know that's a deep question, and that's a real personal question because it comes from me as someone who is an activist, again, on the front lines, that's trying to figure out various methods for art to influence the culture of people, to wake them up, to do more activism work. So.
I'm gonna answer real quick, y'all. Well, not real quick. What a question, seriously. It literally gave me goosebumps. When I did my master's thesis on the leadership styles of Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, and kind of comparing them from the extremists to the pacifists, it was always the idea of what would I do if I was amongst them? How would I move? I think it's easy to say, we contribute in some capacity, But looking at my art, thinking about how my art would contribute in that era, it's, if I have the ability to make us feel more confident in ourselves and know that we are truly these kings and queens that we always talk about, I look at myself as a first generation Nigerian. I always mention that and represent that because my parents came here, right? And I'm the first person of my family historically to be born in the United States. And I don't take that lightly. It also allows me to be a bridge between Africa and the United States. And I think more of that needs to happen. I feel like the knowledge base of knowing that this is a pit stop, but the people who established what's here are just as important as the history itself. I think sometimes there's like a battle between, oh, we did this, we over here, and we really have to take a step back and realize it's diaspora, period. Cool, you're from the South, cool, we over here, we over here. We got people fighting over blocks when we have things going on in other parts of the world. So for me, it would be using my art to show people of that time that just like, Malcolm X did, just like Huey P. Newton did, and shout out to Martin Luther King, but showing you that you are more than what you seem or appear to be, and you can do more, and you're limitless. So that's a very amazing question, seriously.
Ashe. Charles, I'm gonna give it to Charles next, saving the ladies for last. That's for last.
I think I would travel. Like Baldwin traveled, like Josephine Baker traveled. Even Zora Neale Hurston went down to Haiti for a while. Booker T. Washington went to Haiti. Was it Booker or Douglas, Frederick Douglass? I think I'm privileged in the sense that like my parents were able to immigrate here in the 80s after that struggle, after that fight was already done. But they also had their own fights at home too. I too believe I'm a global citizen. I feel like it's a cop-out answer, but I think it's true. I feel like traveling right now with the state that we're in, and hopefully I could just connect some dots and connect movements, say from Haiti or say from South Africa. We talked about Chimamanda Adichie a little bit, and she mentioned that like while y'all was trying to struggling for the right to vote, my grandfather was running for president in my country. Like that's huge, deep, and so like I think I would have traveled. Not saying that I wouldn't have come back, but definitely traveled.
Definitely paying homage to Sankofa, I hear that. And my sister Alexa.
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky question. I think what I would do is create art and perform work that allows people to fully just be human. I think at the time there was a kind of message of needing to be extraordinary or needing to prove yourself of worthy, of like the worthiness of life. Well, like, if I can achieve this or accomplish this or be twice as good, then that means that you shouldn't oppress me or that you shouldn't kill me, when really just the fact that I am human means that you shouldn't oppress me and you shouldn't kill me. And so if there's anything that I think that my work strives to do, it's to embrace the humanity and the fallibility of humanity, and to see that even that is worthy of life and worthy of joy and worthy of celebration. And yeah, you don't need to be the talented 10th. You can just exist and be you, and you are still worthy as you are.
My mother was recently here over the weekend. If you have your parents living, please embrace them. If you have your ancestors around you, please document and share their stories. I was lucky enough to photograph my mother for my project. It was one of the most powerful things I've ever, like just thinking about it now is making me a little bit emo, but I'm allowed to be that. But with the project, I asked people what's the first word they think of when they think of the word melanin. My mother's answer was very surprising, but not really. It was black, right? It was black. But she broke it down and told me, Dayo, the first time I was ever called black was when I got to the United States. She's like, when I was home, I was Yoruba or from this area, or I'm from here or there. And the first time she was called black was when she was here, and she realized when she walked into a room, she was black. When she opened her mouth, she was black. And it was just very profound seeing that the person one generation above me had such a profound experience entering this country, and not much has changed. So I just had to speak on that. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you spoke on it because that did bring me to my next question. As always, keeping the party going. Well, we're talking about, generations and generations to come, and we're talking about, art and building art through generational wealth and culture. What do you see the next generation doing how is what they're doing directly impacted by your work today?
Keep some young folk around you, Joe. I'm a millennial. I got a range and a gamut of energy around me, and they're moving different. They don't care. We were taught a certain way, and go to school, get your degree, get your job, stay there, get your pension, be happy. These kids don't care. They have a voice, and you don't want to get left behind. I was talking to somebody earlier today about AI. And they were just lost, man. I was like, damn, son. I mean, I want to be the person leading you to the gold mine or to the wealth, but you really got to lock in on what's happening. Let's not be the old fogies that were there before us who hated on our Jay-Z's and DMX's when I was bumping that in school. Let's embrace what's going on with the culture, and I think that's my step is keeping some energy around you.
Yeah, I think one thing that's happening just with social media and the internet is that, and maybe something that isn't just happening, but it's being demanded of us, is that, young people are embracing their hyphens. It's like, yes, I am a rapper, but also I am an athlete, and also I am, it's the also, which is really exciting because then that means that there's so much possibility around their art and around their activism. You're realizing how all these different disciplines are connected, and I think that's super exciting. And that's something that I'm trying to do in my work too, especially around curation. There's a really fantastic author, Adrienne Marie Brown. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, and in her book, Emergent Strategy, one of her principles of emergent strategy is there is a conversation that only these people in this very room can have at this very time, and it is your duty to find that conversation. And I think that that's something that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find the conversations that can only happen right now. And I think that that's what young people are doing as well, not just the conversations that are happening with the communities around them, but the conversations that are happening within themselves and all the different selves they contain within themselves.
Definitely want to circle back to something you said, but Charles, I want to give you an opportunity to answer that one as well.
I'm just embracing my aunt status. We the new young old heads. Man, when I sit down, I grab my knees.
That's why you chose that chair.
Yeah.
Charles isn't a millennial.
But the question, man, I agree with Dayo, man. Keep some young blood around you. I keep, I'm a businessman. Like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Like, I think the new generation understands the business side of art. And I was a pre-nursing major, immigrant kid, and I told my mom, change my major, I'm gonna study art. And she's like, nah, I want you to do nursing. And I'm like, why you want me to be a nurse? She was like, because you can provide for yourself as a nurse, you can make money. I said, how much do nurses make? And she was like, about 80K. This was like 20 years ago. And I was like, what if I made 80K making art? Could I do art? She was like, well, I guess so. And that was the end of the story. But I feel like I had an achievable goal. It wasn't like be famous, be rich,
Right.
have this publication, that publication. It was like make 80K. And I think like the new generation understand the ability to monetize. I keep like studio assistants working for me. Every time I go to the studio, I got somebody in the studio working with me. And it's like, we have to not, we have to look at this industry as a business, not just as art, as create, or like, I'm just doing something to do it because it's my passion. Like, nah, we really have to get serious about it. And I hope I answered the question.
Can I?
Yeah, I know you want to say something.
Yeah, Charles, I do. Charles, that was real. It's not just keep the youngins around you, it's collaborate with those around you, right? DC is like this DMV is amazing. There's so much talent. We're so siloed, it's scary as shit. You know, it only takes one conversation for somebody to connect and make something else amazing. I've collaborated with several people in this room, and it's just come from a conversation of being like-minded. Collaboration is the key to innovation, and I think, you know, I didn't have an OG photography mentor. I'm proud of my age, I'm 41. I'm proud of my age. I used to like, oh, I'm OG. Embrace long status. I got 2 kids, 7 and 6, been married 10 years. I look young, but God is good. But so it is Unk energy, but I didn't have an OG. There wasn't no photographer who was a full-time creative. Yo, you can do this or that. I got my first degree in psych and then I got my MBA, and it was the immigrant route. Dayo, when are you gonna get your PhD? How are you gonna live? What are you gonna do? Pictures? Then mom starts seeing the checks, starts understanding this is not what it was back home. You can actually make a way of yourself. So I hope to be the mentor that I didn't have, and I hope all of you have an older and a younger to keep that cycle going.
And I love to hear that because it brings me back to Alexa's point about curating and providing spaces for those who are to come, right? And so a lot of us are, well, you guys are artists. I'm an artistic activist, so not necessarily an artist, but I do use art to uplift activism, so still kind of, sort of, you know, I need good art to uplift my work, right? So my next question is, there are specific spaces out here, you know, that are specifically for art. And so this is gonna be a tough question, I know. I know this is the moment Darius has been waiting for, but I know we have been watching the news, right? And the president of this country, maybe not our president, but the president of this country, apparently, you know, he could just wake up and say, you know, I'm this and I'm that. And so he has decided that he is the chairman now of the Kennedy Center of Performing Arts. And you have 2 Culture Caucus members up here, myself again, always toot my own horn, but Alexa as well, who were invited into the Kennedy Center to use the Kennedy Center to uplift our work, right? But we know the divisiveness and the rhetoric that this man spews on the country, on Black folks specifically. And so I want to dive a little deep, even though we don't have much time. This probably has to be the last question, but
Wow.
it does. I know we ran through that time in no time. So sorry, guys. But I do want to get into this conversation about the Kennedy Center and this cat, you know, naming himself as the chairman. Specifically, if you look down at the table, there's an event happening on February the 19th by my good sister here in the middle. But my question, though, is, because I want to ask it specifically how I typed it out. This is a really good question. It does raise some serious concerns for myself. Somebody asked me this question as well, so I was like, okay, I got to bring this one. How do you see moments like this where this crazy man can appoint himself to positions, mind you, appointed, not elected yet again, to these positions? How do you see these moments shaping the future of specifically Black artistic expression, and specifically and supposedly culturally but corporate spaces? We know we've eliminated DEI, we know we have eliminated anything that uplifts the Black community in a corporate space, but how does this moment shape the future of these spaces? We know Issa Rae canceled her event, so if you got a ticket, apparently she gave you a full refund. I knew that was gonna happen, so I didn't buy a ticket. But Issa Rae is giving full refund, so make sure y'all get your money back. But Alexa, to you.
Shonda Rhimes, step down.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't think it shapes Black art. I don't think it shapes Black artistic expression. We never needed the Kennedy Center in order to express ourselves as Black people, so why do we need it now? And my whole thing is that, it has been, especially in recent years, the Black staff that has been really creating some amazing work at the Kennedy Center. That is not going to, that's not going to end just because this fool has appointed himself as chairman. It's just going to go someplace else. And someplace where we're welcomed, and someplace where we're able to thrive and be ourselves unapologetically. And that is where we should go. We should go where we are welcomed, and we should go where we are allowed resources. I don't know what's going to happen in the coming weeks. I feel like I'm like bracing myself every single time I look at my phone. I don't know what's going to happen with my event. This is my event, Second Wind Poetry, which is it's a free curated open mic that platforms amazing poets in DC and around the country. One of the things that the Kennedy Center has allowed me to do is pay artists what they're worth. Like, that's been useful to have like an institutional backing where we can like actually give a stipend. That's not just like a little $100 that we're passing back and forth. But the thing is, our power is in the people. And if we can't do that work on a Kennedy Center stage, we'll find someplace else to do it, and we'll be able to find the funds to support that.
Charles and Dio, I definitely wanted y'all to have an opportunity to stab at the Kennedy Center as well. But shout out to my girl Simone at the Kennedy Center. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out my good girlfriend Simone.
No, I agree with what both of them saying. I've been trying to just think of an outside of the box answer for everything. I would definitely say in flight too, not just travel. As far as Kennedy Center,
you was sounding like the traveling, but
He's been holding on to it.
she gave up.
I got
I've stood in the gap for a really long time. I told you I did a 16-year stint with DCPS. Like, I understand the legacy of Black educators in this country when we couldn't get into different places. But I also understand what rest means, and we all deserve it. We all need it. And I'm just trying to bring that on. I think this next 4 years is going to be a time to meditate, an opportunity to take care of ourselves more, build relationships more, and lean into each other more.
I had to look up the quote by my good sister, Toni Morrison, but the day after the election, and I know some of y'all in here voted for Trump. You don't gotta be quiet about it. Be as bold as you were when you voted for Trump. Yeah, don't hide.
Bold as you was at the polls.
You feel me? It's weird these days, But anyway, Toni Morrison quote: "This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilization heals." That quote came to me after the election because, I was like, damn, what's going on? What's going on? The self-pity and all that energy, it's good. Release to your friend, talk your stuff, you're angry, you're upset, but don't just sit in the anger. Like, that don't do nothing for nobody. Tap into the work. Put your head down, grind, hustle, get it in. And it's been happening since January 1st, and everything amazing has come from that. I think a lot of times, we look at the bread, right? We're talking about the bread. The bread's amazing to be a full-time artist and to provide for your family. I think that's the dream if you're an artist, right? You want to be good, and you want your work everywhere, and you want to be happy. But, the reality is, anything can happen when you get focused. Get focused, lock in. Shout out to my sis, Tara, who had an amazing yoga session at the Kennedy Center. I was like, damn, is that my last time being in there? Like, wellness. And that's it. That's another key component. Let's stay well. Well, it's a lot happening. And I think we take it in and we're not well. So let's focus on getting well, especially the fellas. Fellas, we're so tough, man. And, this isn't a sexist thing because,
that can get crazy. But we're just holding so much, but we don't release like we need to. I challenge all the brothers to find some sort of wellness and escape or therapy or something, man. Let's keep that energy going. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Charles.
Well,
Oh, they didn't cut your mic?
no, oh, dang. Hate to see it. Not you silencing a black woman. Not again.
Okay.
I can't.
Not
do
again.
that.
I'm gonna let you two add something, and then we're gonna go to questions. But in your two things that you're adding, I do want you to answer this as well. How do we continue to uplift the black community and create spaces for black artists during this time? Hopefully that can tie into what you were about to add to the Trump situation.
We just said them too.
Well, maybe this will answer that. So, I mean, one of the things I wanted to say is I was thinking also about the Tony Campabara quote, which is the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. And I'm thinking you're talking about anger and sitting in anger, and I love anger. I love anger so much. I think it's generative, actually. And I think, if you're angry about something, if something's not sitting right with you, I think it's interesting and important to explore that. I think that it's been a generative space for me and my work as an artist, because let me write this out. What are the things that are in conflict inside of me that is allowing me my anger, and also especially as a black woman, are often not allowed our anger and the full expression of our anger, and so I think there's something that's beautiful and artistic about that too. So I think that there's a space for the feelings that you may be having to also allow you to be generative and allow you to maybe move towards change and changing the communities that you see around you. The question that you asked was,
how does your art, how's it going to continue to create black space?
Yeah, and so I think I think maybe one of the struggles that I'm having with the question is that I think that as black people, as black artists, we often carry we often feel like we are carrying every black person on our shoulders. You know what I mean? We have to create for everybody. And I am in that, I'm creating in love for black people. And I think that, again, this might also circle back to what my answer to the first question, which is that, I think what my work strives to do is make a space for black people as unique humans. Every single one of you is unique and black and beautiful, and you have so many different intersections. And so I think hopefully by making space for myself and my own art and my own weirdness, I am also allowing the people who read my work, who see my work, to feel like they can do the same thing for themselves. But I don't want to paint such a broad stroke that it also takes away the, I don't know how to articulate it. When I feel like sometimes artists, they'll feel like, well, I'm making black art, therefore I'm just going to make a capital B black without making it actually unique. You know what I mean? And so I think just by being myself and by being human, I can make space for other people to do the same thing. That makes sense, yeah.
And Charles, I'd like to hear how you are creating us some black spaces before you travel and leave us high and dry.
Have y'all ever heard the story of Sundiata? All right, so I gotta validate my travel story. But there's the Ashanti Kingdom in West Africa and Ghana. Sundiata, the king had a firstborn son, and he was disabled. His legs didn't work, so the king married, and then the first wife couldn't produce another child, so he married again and had a second child. And after the king died, the second wife sent Sundiata and his mom out to the villages because she didn't want him as a threat. Game of Thrones, right? But Sundiata lived off the care and the comfort and the generosity of everybody in the different villages around the kingdom. And so he learned all the languages of all the villages, and he was like the prince, but he was disabled, but he learned all the languages, and he grew up with them, and he grew taller and taller and taller and taller. So the kingdom got invaded, and the second born son, just pretty much lost the kingdom. So what happens is Sundiata went to all the same villages that he visited before and said, we need to rise up, come together as a team, powerful, to take back the crown. And on the journey back, he meets a woman. Sundiata is at this time, he's only this tall because he's walking. You know how you see the crippled people? But he meets disabled. Oh, woo, I'm canceled. He meets a lady on the trip, and she said, you can walk, Sundiata. He was like, what you mean I can walk? He's like, I haven't walked my whole life. She was like, no, it's your destiny to walk back into your father's kingdom and take your seat at the crown. And she gives him the confidence to stand up. He rises up on a pole, and they march into the capital and take the kingdom back. But he wouldn't have been able to do that if he didn't spend time in the outside villages, because the royals that stayed in the kingdom didn't have real, true relationships with the outside villages. And I think we as a people need to connect Black folks in Ghana, Black folks in Haiti, Black folks in Honduras, Black folks in Cuba, Black folks in Puerto Rico, Black folks in Dominican Republic, Black folks in Toronto. Even they are like us a little bit, but Black folks in the UK, and because this. No matter where you go, you're gonna see this type of oppression for people of the darker races anywhere and everywhere you go. But everybody has their own way of addressing it, and if we can really pull together and see, we can really make some changes. So that's it.
Yeah, shout out to all the folks here from cross border. Shout out to my sister Marisa in the building, live from Ghana. She's probably like leaving us in a month to go right on back, because she says it's much better there than it is here.
We love it.
Good sister of mine. But we are going to move it on to the question and answer portion. I'm only going to be able to take like maybe 2 questions. I've already identified the first person who's asking a question. Fortunately, they had already said that they had a question to ask. And the person who is asking this question is asking it because she's actually on the front line of activism as well. And because she's doing so much work in the activism community, she has a question to ask for the artist side of the community so she can help bring things all together.
Well, hi, y'all.
Peace.
Full disclosure, Kelsey just texted me 2 minutes ago and asked me to do this. Okay?
Oh, she blasted you,
she,
shouty.
She out here trying to give me a good introduction.
Not you blowing up Kelsey's spot.
But I really just wanted to ask y'all.
Queen, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can you please let everyone know who you are, what you do, how we can support you?
Oh, yeah. Hi, y'all. My name is Afeni. I am an organizer and an activist, and I guess now I'm a content creator.
Don't guess. Don't guess.
No, it's a hard guess. I'm still trying to figure that out.
She lying. She be going viral. Y'all probably seen her about the Free Palestine videos that go viral. This is her, the girl from D.C.
Anyway, but yeah, so in the context of the Kendrick Lamar performance that we saw on Sunday, like I said, chronically online content creator, there's a lot of discourse happening basically about how Kendrick does not represent Black America, like they was a pro-American propaganda, right? Right. So I just really, as somebody, number one, who is like deep in the activist community, as somebody who is also like deep in this content creation space, unfortunately, how do y'all approach conversations about like the entry point of culture to larger politics? Because I'm trying to find new ways to say it. I'm not even gonna hold you. So yeah, if you could help me with that, that'd be great.
I think Charles should answer that one since he brought up they are not like us when they are like us, because I'm a Drake fan. But go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, you
Drake
can't
stand. Drake stand right
Y'all
here.
gotta stop the cap. We play some
Thank
Drake
you.
in. We
Drake.
play some
Drake.
Drake in here.
Out
Where
Everybody
they
come
wants
out
to
the
turn up.
closet.
They
Stop
was
the
Drake
cap.
fans.
Just
They
stop
were
the cap.
recently
The
Drake
cap
fans.
is crazy.
I know.
Come
Who
out
don't
the
know where
closet.
their ass was at? Exactly. Y'all know that
Y'all
song.
cap, man. Controller.
Charles, answer the question.
I love Toronto. I love Toronto. I ain't got the answer, Sway.
Sis.
Well, I mean, I think. Well, I mean, so the question, I just want to reflect it back to you to make sure that I'm answering the question that you asked. So you said, what is the role of culture in reflecting like a larger politic?
Yeah, like, I'm just trying to, I guess what I'm really trying to ask is, number one, how do we talk about pop culture in a way that does actually relate to our larger narrative of like liberatory politics, pro-blackness, pan-Africanism, especially, just to give extra context, maybe I should have said this shit at the outset, niggas would have actually understood. Especially with the context that, you know, a lot of black people in America right now are like getting this like pro-America isolationist politic right now. We're seeing a lot of folks that are like, if you're not black American, fuck you. And as y'all have all just said, number one, we very much need every single black person all across this globe. And also, like, we kind of need to disrupt that narrative without being like belittling. And that's what I'm really trying to get, like, strike the balance between, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can stand right here.
Quickly, I think it all begins with intentionality. You have to just be intentional about what you're doing and be unapologetically black, right? I don't think we have to conform to anybody. I think we really got us, but it doesn't need to be us here, us here, us here, us here. It needs to be us, right? Look around this room. The diaspora is in this room. Even to my Dominican folk, yeah, y'all black, you know what I'm saying? Y'all out here. So we got to have this mentality that, oh snap, I'm Mexican. You know, am I part of this fight? Yes. You are an extension of blackness. The Spaniards came and, you know, did what they did. Now you look like this. We all have to just, you know, take it back and when we do get into positions of power or get into the rooms, instead of just being solitary there and being happy that, oh, I made it, spread your arms out a little bit and make room for the next person. You know what I mean? That's the energy I think we need to lead with. I don't know if that helps you, sis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, my whole thing is that, like, I'm a big everything is political person. All art is political. I think that if the role of the artist is to, you know, generate a conversation, I think that is exactly what Kendrick accomplished at the Super Bowl. People are having conversations about what the message of his performance is, if it was effective, is this an effective platform? And then it's what we do with that conversation after. As an artist, I only have so much control over what people do with my art after it's out in the world. I can write the thing, I can have an intention for the thing, and then my hope is that it generates a conversation that you can take into your own communities and you can do something positive with it. But you know, that we, whoever that we is that you're talking about, I'm hoping it gets to the right we that, you know, can do something positive with the message and with the conversation out in the world.
When's the last time you sat in a room with 10 other people like you and just discussed and sat there, no social, no nothing, and really had a brainstorm like they did back in the day?
So I do a lot of national training. So I do a lot of training. I be in a lot of different spaces and different rooms. I literally just left one last week. So I do that, but I think because of, number one, a lot of us are not actually artists, right, that are in the activist space.
Artistic activism is a real thing.
It is a real thing, but like a majority of the people that are in the rooms are not.
We're not artists. We're trying to bring the
So
art
they don't
into
even
the
know how to have the
activism.
conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't start there. We started like the policy shit. We be talking about like the bigger shit, but we don't
DC
talk about the
statehood.
culture stuff. Exactly.
This sounds like an opportunity. Go ahead, Charles.
One of my mentors pulled me to the side, and she said, she came to, I had a museum show at American University.
That's right.
And I'm about to humble brag a little bit, but she was like, I got one dig with you on this exhibition. She was like, I need you, and I was like, what is it? Did I mess up? And she was like, you need to stop telling people you're an educator, you're a scholar. You did the work, you did the research, like you know what you're talking about. And to answer the Kennedy Center question, I just had my first talk at the National Gallery of Art in November, and I've been invited back twice since then. But I'm the same artist I was in October, but that validation, right? It gives you that blue check or that you're official, you legit. But I think we really got to get away from getting validation from these big institutions, because I'm the same person I was before. But one other thing that's really unique about Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, that nobody else in the world has. And it's like, ooh, I'm about to generalize, but I think I put enough time into this to stand on it. There's 50 states of oppression here. Whether you from Florida to Seattle, you feel that brother's pain that got shot in Seattle if you live in Florida. If you live in Texas and black dude gets shot in New York by the police, you feel that pain. Nowhere else in the world do black people have 50 states of pain, right? If you in Haiti and you get shot by the police, nobody in Jamaica is crying. If you in Tanzania and somebody gets shot by the police, nobody in Congo is crying. If you in Nigeria, maybe outside of your village, nobody is even crying. But in the United States, because of the imperialism and the Western expansion and the manifest destiny, and that's why I went into the scholarship, there's 50 geographical areas that black people have to care about. That's 50 times more pain. That's 50 times more opportunity for organization as well. And I don't think the world understands the pain that Black Americans feel, because it's something going on in every single state, Minnesota, California, Kansas City. As quote unquote Americans, there's a true attachment to other Black Americans that people outside of America don't understand. And there's no place on the planet like that. So if you never heard that before, hopefully that's something that you can walk with pride with and say, wow, I am my brother's keeper. But being your brother's keeper, being a Black American, being a foundational Black American, that's a lot of weight. And people coming from Puerto Rico don't understand that weight. People coming from Haiti don't understand that weight, because there's national borders that give you a level of distance from it. Black Americans don't get the privilege of having distance from it. I was dating a girl that wasn't from the United States, and when George Floyd passed, she said, "Why you sad? You didn't know him." She just didn't get it.
That's not her fault, and that's not her fault.
She didn't get it. And that was the end of the relationship.
I was like, and that's when it ended.
That's when it ended. Happy Galentine's Day.
Yeah.
Oy,
And we are
yes.
connected through the 50 states, but keep in mind we're trying to be 51 states, especially if you're in Washington, D.C., which you are right now. We're trying to make D.C. the 51st state. We got one more question. I'm going to give it to my brother Brian. We got 2 minutes to answer it. All right, 2 minutes, guys, because I have to give it back to my girl, Ebb and Flo, ASAP.
What's going on, panel? I wanted to kind of end it on a lighter note. This is Valentine's Day.
Darius made me ask that hard question.
Valentine's Day weekend, right? I want each of you to share a moment in your craft and in your career of being a full-time creative and artist, a moment where you felt loved and appreciated for some of the work that you do. Like, what was that one moment where you're like, oh, my goodness, this is, I feel good.
That's a great question, man.
I try.
Look at you. Young flowers. I gave you some digital flowers the other day, brother, because you deserved it. I'll go quickly. For me, it was my participation in the Throughline Project.
Woo!
Who's heard of the Throughline Project? That for me was an honor, because all my life as a creative, I've always wondered, how do I honor Black women? How do I do for Black women? What can I do? And with that project, we honored 16 amazing women from across the DMV, Kelsey being amongst one of them. Let's please give her.
Kelsey being the youngest of all of them.
Yeah, she is spectacular. But it was great to get my flowers. I feel like, it's something that helps keep you going. We've been on 1 million panels. We've been in 1 million rooms. It's nothing like getting celebrated by your own people and being told you're this, you're that, when all you're trying to do is just be. So that was it for me, the Throughline Project.
Yeah, I think mine was probably my book launch. So again, this is my book, Remedies for Disappearing. It was published by Haymarket Books, which is like the same publisher as like Angela Davis and Colin Kaepernick and a whole bunch of stuff. In my book, my book explores the various ways that Black people disappear and fight against disappearing, and then it takes a specific look at Black girls that exist in predominantly white spaces. I grew up in a very small town in Connecticut. Woo woo. No?
We're not here.
Okay, cool. It's fine. Connecticut represented in the house? No? All right. Yeah, and so one of the things that, like, when I was growing up, that was really difficult for me was comparing myself and my high school experience specifically to the high school experience that I was seeing like on TV and like all the proms and stuff and all the firsts that were happening, and then those kinds of experiences weren't afforded to me because I was a Black girl. For my book launch, what I ended up doing was throwing myself a prom. Because that was something that I didn't really get to attend when I was growing up, and then also in the book I have a series of prom poems that celebrate other Black girls. But yeah, it was so lovely to not just celebrate like myself and my book, but also celebrate others. Like I had a prom court and got a whole bunch of other poets to like perform, and they all wore their little slashes, and everyone had boutonnieres and corsages, and we had a DJ, and we had decorations, and it was cute. Dio was the photographer, and we had corny prom photos. And so there was something about like being celebrated, but also seeing other people celebrate themselves, because I think that we all have such a similar experience when it comes to prom, or when it comes to feeling celebrated or loved or desired. Everyone has a kind of similar experience where they feel like they weren't afforded that at some point. And so it was lovely to do that in community. So that moment.
Okay, prom queen.
Yeah.
All right. Prom King Charles, what you got for us?
Getting hired at Howard by my childhood crush, Felicia Rashad.
Okay, HU in the building. I'm not HU, but y'all might be here.
Real quick, Kelsey's word for when she first thought of the word melanin, I don't know if she remembers, but she probably don't, but it was strength. And I had to reiterate that because it's flowing through you. I see the work that you do. I want to make sure you get your flowers every time I see you. And if you need somebody to size you, that's going to be me, because, all of y'all are doing the work. It gets discouraging. It's hard. It's fucking tough, man. But just know that you're doing it, and just keep going.
Well, I'm going to keep going, and today I'm going for Mr. Darius Baxter, and he has me going to do a couple of more things. Girls, free drinks. We got the open bar until 9 o'clock on behalf of Mr. Baxter. He wants y'all to feel very special today. Actually, it was all my idea, but he wants y'all to feel very special today, so go ahead and get the open bar and the free drinks. Another thing is this is a production of the Good Projects Tour. We are here for a purpose. This is the Purpose Tour produced by Good Projects. If you haven't supported Good Projects in the past and you need a reason to, today is the day. Good Projects, one of the few platforms uplifting Black voices. Seeing my brother Dio, my sister Alexa, my brother Charles. I party with all these people, but to be in intentional community space to talk about real work, really uplifting the community, really uplifting DC and Black voices, that's what this is all about. So make sure you get to know the person beside you. If you haven't, please donate to Good Projects so we can always keep the party going. And if you haven't followed Good Projects on all social media platforms, remember this is a 10-stop Purpose Tour, doing everything for a purpose. Y'all get to the bar if you haven't had drinks. I'm going to kick it back to my sister, Ebb and Flo. If we can get a round of applause for my wonderful panelists. They did such an amazing job. Shout out to Sherelle, the board chair for Good Projects, who couldn't be with us today, but she curated this whole event today. I think Mr. Baxter has something to say, but that's enough for me. I love you all. Happy Valentine's Day, and show love to someone you haven't this evening, please, and thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Can we get another round of applause for Miss Kelsey Adams, our amazing moderator? Can we get another round of applause for our amazing panelists?